This is a summary of the verb stems or verb patterns, and this one goes through Futato chapter 38, so it's through the Hophal stem. Now, by way of review, the PL pattern, in the perfect, this is recognized by an I-class vowel under the first consonant, like so, and doubling of the dagesh. In the imperfect, and in the participle, we have a shva under the prefix consonant. So the imperfect, it's going to be one of the allowable prefix consonants, yod, tav, aleph, or nun, followed by an A-class vowel, and then of course doubling. And for the participle, you're going to have the mem prefix with shva, followed by A-class, and of course doubling. For imperatives and infinitive constructs, and to a lesser extent infinitive absolute, you're going to have an A-class vowel under the first consonant, and then doubling of the second. And for infinitive absolute, the thematic vowel will be holam vav, and for the imperative and infinitive construct, it'll be the tsere. So that's your set of PL patterns, PL tells. The hifil, we saw, of course, in the perfect, you have a he with I-class, a hi prefix, and then of course your lemma. So that would be the perfect hi, and then the lemma. Imperfect, you're going to have under your prefix consonant, you will have an A-class vowel followed by the lemma with I-class vowel. And if the I-class vowel is a tsere, it's going to be a jussive, because the tsere is a shorter I-class vowel than hirik yod. For imperatives, infinitive constructs, and infinitive absolutes, you will have the he prefix again, but this time it will have A-class. So this is the way you tell a perfect in the hifil from the imperative or any of the infinitives. You do have a he prefix in both cases, but the perfect will have I-class vowel, all the others will have A-class vowel, and then be followed by an I-class vowel with the lemma. And if the I-class vowel is hirik yod, it's going to be an infinitive construct. The participle, you have your mem prefix with A-class vowel followed by the lemma with I-class vowel. So that is the hifil pattern. The nifal pattern, in the perfect and in the participle, you're going to have a nun prefix with I-class vowel. Ni, of course, is where the nifal term comes from. In the perfect, you will have an A-class patak theme vowel. Example would be niktal. And in the participle, you will have an A-class comets theme vowel, niktal, right here. The imperfect, you will have your normal imperfect prefix consonant, one of the ones that are allowable that fit that description, and then you will have a hirik dagesh comets pattern for the rest of the tel in the imperfect. So imperfect prefix, hirik dagesh comets. For imperatives, infinitive constructs, and infinitive absolutes, you will have a prefixed he right here, followed by the pattern hirik dagesh comets. And again, the normal thematic vowel will be tsera, but if it's holam vav, you're going to have an infinitive absolute on your hands. So that's the nifal. Now we get to the new ones in Futato chapter 38. The cal passive pertains only to participles. There is only a cal passive participle, and that is identified by a middle or thematic long U vowel. So with respect to your lemma, you would have ka tool. You would have the long U vowel and in the theme vowel right there. That is your cal passive participle. Notice there's no prefix here. There's nothing to tell you it's PL or hifil or nifal, none of that. This is the pattern. For the pual, in the perfect, you will of course have, like the PL, a doubled second consonant. So there's our dagesh. But instead of the PL with that I-class vowel, you will have a U-class vowel under consonant 1, under your first consonant. So ku-tal, pu-al. In the imperfect, you will have the schwa under the prefix consonant, just like the PL, but it will be followed by a short U vowel, the U class vowel under the first lemma consonant, and then of course you're doubling, so ye, ku, tal. Participle, you will have again the schwa under the prefixed consonant right here, the mem under with a schwa underneath. That's your sign of the participle in the stems outside the cal except for nifal. So you have your mem with a schwa, and then it will be followed by a U class vowel under the first lemma consonant. And of course you're doubling in your second consonant right there. So me, ku, tal. That's the pual participle. Those are the patterns. The hofal, in the perfect, you will have a prefixed he with the vowel that looks like a comet, as we've been treating it to this point, but it will be in a closed syllable. So the initial syllable will be closed, and that means that this vowel point, this vowel mark, is actually the comet's hatuf, the short O. So hok, tal. Again, in biblical Hebrew, in Hebrew Bibles, when you have this vowel sign, if the scribe wanted to tell you, no, this is not a short vowel in a closed syllable, they would put a little mark, little line, vertical line right here to tell you that it's comets, not comets hatuf. Of course, but in Furtado's grammar, he doesn't really do that, so you can, again, sort of operate without it, assume without it. So now that when you see this, you will be able to tell, again, you will just presume that this is a closed syllable. Hok, tal, hofal. That's your hofal perfect pattern. The imperfect will have your familiar prefixed consonants with the comet's hatuf closed syllable, yok, tal. And the participle, same thing, mem, prefixed mem, with the comet's hatuf closed syllable, mok, tal. Those are your tells for the hofal pattern. And that's the end of this video. Those are all of the verb patterns to this point.